In the beginning, we are called Aha Makav, people along the river, and we're put here to protect it. And our creator first called it Aha Habil. Aha Habil. This is yours. Protect it. This is who you are.
It's depicted in this river corridor, these giant earth figures. It's the indigenous knowledge, ancient knowledge, that was likely not understood when people came here. Call them twins because they look similar, but one is without a head. They face north-south over a ridge, which would be overlooking the river that once flowed, but still flows in the spirit that we know it to be.
Throughout this whole valley, the river used to run from one end of the mountain range to the other. And so it was just wide and deep and free flowing back then. That's where the old fort used to be, where the crossing actually occurred here. And then later on, after they closed the fort, they converted it to a school, a boarding school, and took our children and put them there. A lot of them escaped and they left because that wasn't where they needed to be. And then the school finally closed in 1931. But this was the crossing point for everybody coming east and going west. They took what they wanted and what they needed at that time. And so had obliged them until they started killing the beaver and a lot of the animals for their fur and their pelts and stuff. And that's when the tribe said, hey, that's enough. You're in our home. So that's when some of the wars began, and there was, they came after our people and they tried to make us leave here. Our name, Aha Makav, means people of the river. And for us, the Creator created us here. He created the lands. He created the river. Everything that we have, the plants, the animals, everything that we were given, this is His gift to us. And so we can never leave here. We'll never leave here. And so that's why we fight to protect the land and the water. And we have to speak up for those things that can't speak. Nobody should own that river. But the way they did it 100 years ago, it's the story and the legacy that we live with and we continue to live with to this day, not having an input, not having to say so. But we have organizations now, NGOs and representatives, local government, state government, county government, and tribal government now that we're being faced with this again, because we have our rights and their first priority rights. We have a right to that water before. So for us, we don't treat it like a commodity because we know what the river is and what it gives us is life, and it's life for everything and everyone. And so this is what we ended up with is I call it a big canal, because that's basically what they reduced it to. And everything on the other side of it more or less died out because they didn't have the access to the free flowing of the river and how it used to be. And so a lot of things affected us and our livelihood and the way that we lived and connected with that land and the water. I think the time has come where they have to change the way that they operate and maintain the river, and that they have to have the tribes at the table too, and that they have to have a voice in what happens, to their water. The state's a sovereign, we're sovereign tribes too, and we have those rights. The reality is that there's not enough water anymore, because of climate change and because of everything that we've created, man created. That's what we're dealing with now, those things that we altered and we changed. Now we're dealing with the realities of what we did back then. And so we have to look at a different way of how we can address those things and change them before it's too late for all of us. We need to treat it and respect it and let it do what it was supposed to and naturally do, when Creator created this whole area in the land.